Hello everybody and welcome back to the Radiator Arms, the only podcast that comes pre-installed with Microsoft Bob. So today, everybody, we're going to be talking about cheap, sensible, and fun cars. Things that you may not think can actually coincide with each other, but we're hoping we're going to find a few that will. Okay, so in front of me today, you'll see that we don't have James. Yes, James is off gallivanting again, as he likes to do, so it's been left to myself and Ant.
Hello.
From Sports and Touring, and also JayEmm and Friends. And we have Ben.
Hi.
From Mile By Mile Valeting, and who's also a channel friend. How are we all doing today, boys?
Yeah, pretty good after lunch.
Pretty good after lunch. What do we all have for lunch?
Battered haddock, very nice.
Nice. I had a nice burger, which is good.
I had the beer and burger deal, except instead of beer, I had coffee.
Yes, you are a
Two
man.
of them.
Yes.
To add to the 3 he had before.
And the one that I've got now.
So this is cup 5 or 6 of the day?
Oh.
So 95% of the talking today will be done by Ant.
Exactly.
And we can't stop it.
At double speed. I'll have to slow this down.
You do know how much coffee I was on this morning and I wasn't double speed.
No.
This is my normal speed.
He has to hit 100 cups, and then like that episode of Futurama,
Yeah,
he'll be
oh
able to
my
run in and
God.
move everybody out the fire in a split second. That's what it'll be like.
Like the Flash, that will be me.
So why are we looking at cheap, fun and fast cars today?
Well, the main reason, and we didn't say fast necessarily, just fun. Just
Okay,
fun.
cheap, fun and affordable.
Fast
sorry.
can be fun. Yeah, sensible, cheap-ish, and fun. Not necessarily fast. So the reason is that if any of you have watched any of the other videos on the channel, one of those videos was me explaining why I'm selling my R8 GT Spyder. And the reason is that I have received so much amazing feedback from people that I've met, from the comments. I've been out at events and people have come up to us. Just at Goodwood, a group of guys came up and were just saying, hey, we've been watching your content. We love what you're doing. And it's just really inspired me to want to do more. And in the earlier days of YouTube, it was just a little bit of a fun hobby. And then it turned into something that started to make some money. And we've had a channel sponsor on Sports and Touring for a while that we've been doing a lot of work with. So I've got a load of cameras for free and they've paid money for us to promote their cameras, which showed a sign that maybe this could be more than just a bit of a hobby. But the volume of content that we now need to create in order to grow both JayEmm and Friends, which was started initially by me and James together. We put it under the JayEmm brand for obvious reasons, because he was definitely better known than I was. And I just decided I want to double down on this. But in order to do that, I need to stop doing the things that was previously paying my bills and, more importantly, the car payments. So I've decided, in order to create the financial headroom to allow me to really double down and focus on growing both JayEmm and Friends and Sports and Touring, that I'm going to sell the R8, use that to basically cover my costs of living while we grow the channels. Very similar to what James did, except he did that right at the very beginning. He sold all of his camera kit and used that to sort of fund his life, including buying a Lotus and a few other bits and pieces. So that's the plan. So what I need to do, because I can't possibly drive around in a Lamborghini as my daily, the RX-8 will also be going, and my 370Z Nismo is having a rather substantial engine build being done to it, and that's going to go from a 12,000 mile annual service interval to a 6,000 mile service interval. So that's not really dailyable either. Not that I need a daily, and this is the thing. Like, my needs are actually a little bit different to a lot of people's. Because I don't live in the countryside, I live in the suburbs. I've got a train station that's a 5-minute walk from my house. I've got a supermarket that's less than a 5-minute walk from my house. I've got bars, restaurants, and everything all within 5-minute walk of my house or less. So I don't actually need to drive anywhere for anything at all. I don't need to. The only thing I need to do driving for really is YouTube. So that tends to involve a trip up here once or twice a week. And it doesn't really make sense for me to do that in the Lambo unless I'm filming with it. And it doesn't make sense for me to do it in the 370Z unless I'm filming with it. So I want something that can fill that gap, but leave me with plenty of cash from my sale of my R8, which I own outright, so that I have plenty of that cash to basically pay the bills in the meantime while we grow the revenue on the two channels. I'm thinking a budget of maximum £25,000, but there are some criteria. My personal criteria are, it's got to be fun, yeah, and James says sensible, but my criteria are, it's got to be fun, and it's got to have some boot space that we can throw a couple of large camera bags into, maybe some luggage as well.
And as it's your daily reliable.
And yes,
it can't turn into another project car.
it can't turn into another project car. It probably will at some point, but it can't. Now, there's one other criteria that James is trying to impose on me, and I'm not sure that I'm fully sold on it yet. He says, but it also should have more than 2 seats. Now, with the exception of the RX-8, I have not owned a car with more than 2 seats since 2006. So I spent the last 19 years owning cars of only 2 seats. And as you know, but the viewers and listeners might not know, the only reason I own the RX-8 that has 4 seats is because my son had bought that car, then he found an even better one, and I thought, I'll help him out. I'll buy that one off him so he can buy the other better one, because I thought that would be better for the Sports and Touring channel anyway. I'll keep this one until my Z's back, and then I'll sell that RX-8. So it was never a car that I was intending to buy or planning to keep. So it's purely by accident that I now own a car with 4 seats.
Okay, well, let's address pros and cons then, breaking this down into specific points of, what it has to be and functions it has to perform for you. Do you need 4 seats? And obviously, as you haven't had a 4-seat car since 2006, I would objectively say, no, you don't need 4 seats. But it is also handy because the other week, there were 6 or 7 cars on James's driveway and 4 people needed to go out to dinner. And we ended up going out in my Focus, not a Ferrari, not a Lamborghini, because 4 people couldn't fit in anything on that driveway except for my car.
Yeah, why do you think that whenever we're going anywhere and doing anything with James and myself, we take the Golf usually, because that is the one that can fit people in, and it makes the most sense. And it also does 50 to 60 miles per gallon, which helps as well.
Even your Merc, which, okay, is a 2-door, but with 4 seats and is relatively usable. I mean, you're quite very tall.
Yes.
I'm not super tall, but I am exactly the opposite of James with his famous short of leg, long of torso. I'm exactly the opposite. I have no torso, but all leg. And I can sit behind you quite comfortably. But as we found out, even the speed humps just outside of here scrape.
It's only on the exhaust. It's fine.
So it's not super practical to take 4 people in because there's only 3 of us and it's scraping. So you stick another body in there and it's scraping everything.
So that's why I have, and James beat this into me as well, which is one of the reasons, I don't know if I spoke about this yet, but the Golf estate with the Bora front end now has 16-inch wheels and standard suspension, and it's been great. I haven't had to worry. I've gone places in it. I've had it completely packed up with people and a boot, and it's my one sensible car now, and I think that's great. Now, speaking of sensible cars, what is your requirements from things like fuel economy and tax and servicing? Do they need to be on the lower side of things, or are you not too bothered because you're not expecting to do mega mileage?
I see for me, like, look, the RX-8, that's like £760 a year tax.
That's ridiculous.
Right? For a 1.3. It's just the emissions, isn't it? It's just how it is.
But that's a lot of cars, though. Like your 370Z as standard, isn't that like...
Nope. I got a later one, 2018. Any post-2016 cars?
I think it's 2017.
2017. Yeah, 2017. Falls into the £160 a year category, or whatever the price is now, 175 now, isn't it?
Yeah, something like that.
Something like that.
But not as egregious as £700.
The post-2006 ones, because I was looking at Mondeo ST 220s years and years ago, if you bought a post-2006 one, it was like at the time, very expensive, like £470 bracket or whatever. But the ones pre that were like 215 quid.
Let's get into the price and the costs and running costs of things. Let's just finish up this conversation about the seats first.
Yeah,
I think this is
let's
an
do
important
that.
one.
Yeah.
Now, I was having a chat with James yesterday. We had a bit of a back and forth and a discussion about the whole seat scenario. And I was explaining, for 19 years, I haven't needed a car with 4 seats. In the whole time I've had the RX-8, how many times do you think I've had a passenger in the back seats?
None?
One. It's got to be one.
0.
Yeah.
God.
0.
Okay.
Now, maybe that's because I have no friends. I don't know.
Or all your friends also want to drive their cars at the same time. That's
Yeah.
another thing when you're into cars.
So, for example, my son and I, we wanted to do something on Easter Sunday a little while back, a few months ago. And we wanted to go and visit a couple of the usual, car, cafe, venue type places. And you'd think, well, father and son want to spend quality time with each other. They'll pick a car and go together. Nope, we took separate cars.
Yeah.
And we had various waypoints along the way. We drove and enjoyed some really fun roads, and then we'd stop at a waypoint, get out of the car, and then share with each other what fun that road was. And then we'd go on the next section, and we'd stop at the next waypoint, and then have another conversation about what fun. And that was our quality time. So we had 4 seats between 2 people across 2 cars. Actually, 6 seats technically, because his is an RX-8 as well. And I had the Lambo that day. So I have not once used any of the seats. Right. So then one of the other considerations then is, James was like, yeah, but every time we want to go to the pub, we'll have to take either his car or your car. It'd be nice if I could take us. I was like, okay, but I have to drive for between an hour and a quarter and an hour and a half just to get here, and the same to get back again. So I've got a 3-hour round trip. I don't think it's too much to ask that one of you takes us to the pub that's 5 minutes down the road. That's what I think.
That's what I usually do, and I'm fine with that.
Quite literally, I think to wrap this section up, you don't need back seats.
This is what I think. Now, I can hear James. Yes, you do. Yes, I can hear him.
I know exactly what he'll say. He'll say, even if you have to take somebody in the rear of your car once a year, that means your car is no longer fit for purpose because on one occasion a year you need to take somebody.
Sorry, can I tell you that there is one thing I've left out?
What's that?
There was once, no, that's not true, twice, that I have needed to go to the airport to pick up family members. Guess what I did?
Rent a car.
Rented a car, Ford Focus, dirt cheap, can't remember how much I paid for it, next to nothing, like I don't know, like 100 quid or 60 quid or 80 quid or whatever it was, right? And you think about it, imagine I am paying, let's say I was paying finance on whatever car I'm buying. How much extra a month am I paying for those 4 seats?
Yeah. It's like people who own camper vans. I don't understand. They're only going to use it maybe once, twice a year for a week or 2, or even just a long weekend. And you think you've got to pay for the storage, the upkeep, and all the maintenance to do with that thing to use it. Just rent one. If you don't have a constant need for something, rent it.
That's one of the reasons I sold my van, actually. Because I've got an estate now, and my dad's got an estate, and whenever we go out doing music stuff together, we fit it in between the 2 cars.
But if you did need a van, you could...
I could rent one.
Rent
Exactly.
one.
So
See,
that's...
there you go. This is my philosophy on back seats. This is my philosophy. Now, it might be I'm going through an extended midlife crisis. Who knows? It did kind of start when I was around 29, when I basically got divorced. And it hasn't stopped. And I think I'm like, from a car point of view, car taste point of view, I am a bit of a Benjamin Button. I'm working my way backwards. And at some point, I am convinced that I'm going to be somehow squeezing myself into a little pedal cart. Clearly trying to live out.
BAC mono. I only need 1 seat.
There you go. Okay, now, if I was getting a BAC mono as my daily and you all said, come on, Anthony, you need at least 2 seats, I would agree with you because I use the second seat in my cars all the time. All the time. Twice in 6 years, I have needed extra seats. I just don't feel I can justify extra seats. So I am personally going to remain open to a car with extra seats if it's really cool and fun.
But it doesn't have to come with them. It can just be, oh, it has extra seats, fantastic. But you're not going to sacrifice getting a car with 2 seats to go for a lesser car with 4 seats.
Exactly. That's my philosophy. The main thing is that it's got plenty of space. So, for example, it's the wrong kind of car because it's too old. But a good example of the kind of format that I think would work for me would be something like the BMW Z3 M Coupe.
Oh,
Right?
yeah.
Not the age, because I need a ULEZ compliant car because I live.
You do, don't you?
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I live right there, right next to it, and I'm literally like a mile down the road from ULEZ.
Oh dear.
And I have to go into it quite regularly. So it has to be ULEZ compliant. So that a car like that wouldn't do. But if you get the gist, I would be happy with a car that has that format because it's got all the storage space that you need. It's got the 2 seats that I need and all the fun you can possibly have.
I'm going to throw out something here, which, you know, will give you some comfort as well, because then you'll appreciate your Lamborghini even more when you get into it, and the 370 when they have the harsh ride, but you'll bumble along the road a little bit because you enjoyed that Range Rover, didn't you?
Yes,
Exactly.
I did. But would I want one?
No.
No.
What about Porsche Cayenne?
Oh, God.
Ruinous.
I know, but the thing you've got to think
Is that
about...
a crossover or is that an SUV?
No, that's
That's an SUV because
SUV.
they're proper 4-wheel drive, so
Yeah,
they're not
yeah.
a crossover.
Yeah, I wouldn't do a crossover.
Because the thing is, you can get Cayennes, and I'm sure you can get ones because of that old ULEZ, but even older ones.
I just can't do it.
Yeah, but
I
you can
can't
get
do
some
it.
good engines. James, have you driven any of the Cayennes before?
Yeah, I've driven
It's
loads.
I honestly think that's outside of his wheelhouse completely.
But the thing is,
fun.
it's good to suggest stuff that's outside of one's wheelhouse once in a while and have a left field idea, because you never know. It's still a luxury car. It's a German brand. It still has road presence, and some of them are still fairly quick as well. You know, when you get the ones with the bigger engines, they got superchargers, V8s, things like that, and they can still hustle their way down the road quicker than you think. So,
Look, I'll be honest. It was the L320
yep,
Range Rover Sport.
yep.
Okay. I won't lie. I did enjoy that. And if you want to know my thoughts on it, if you're listening or watching, it is on the JayEmm and Friends channel. I did a whole review. There was a few funny moments in it you might enjoy. But I just don't know if I could live with that. I'm like, so here's another thing for me, right? When I was younger, I got married quite young. Yep. 22, I was married. Yep.
Wow.
Had my son by 26 and was divorced by 29.
Wow.
And so all of my 20s was basically spent being a 30-year-old. So then I decided in my 30s to catch up on all the things that I missed out on in my 20s, except I had a kid. So I had to have sensible cars. And I had a Ford Mondeo for a long time until a bit later on I realised I haven't used the back seats in ages. I think maybe once or twice to pick up some of my son's friends. And then I was like twice in a year, I'd rather just rent a car and do it that way. And so then I bought the 350Z. And I said, right, if I have to rent a car to deal with the fact that I've only got 2 seats, more often than twice a quarter, I'm going to buy a car that's got 4 seats. Right. And that's the thing with something like a Range Rover. It's not fun. The Mondeo I had at the time, it was the ST24 RS body kit, had it lowered on airbag springs. It was a bit of a hoot to drive as front wheel drive saloon cars go. It was about the most fun you could have in a car in that format. But it was still low. It was still a saloon car. It wasn't a hatchback. I've never owned a hatchback. There's only one hatchback I have considered, and I'm going to throw this into the mix here.
Yep.
Mark II Ford Focus RS.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Absolutely. Do that. Yeah, 25
That's
grand.
25 grand.
Do it.
For a decent one.
Thank you for watching. We've solved the problem.
Not yet. That is I think that is about the most sensible, but I've never driven one, so I need to drive one.
If you want to drive, I'm not saying that my ST is an RS, but it's running almost standard RS power, and it's the same platform. It just doesn't have the body kit, and it's got 5 doors and whatever. If you want 80% of the experience, just drive mine first.
All right, we'll do that.
Yeah, seriously, just drive it, or just buy mine because it's for sale.
But it's not an RS, and I have
No, it's not
the
an RS.
So if you have an RS out there, Mark II Ford Focus RS, don't mind if it's been modified or anything like that. I mean, I'd like to try a stock one, but if it's been modified, especially if it's got the Mount Tune kit on it.
Most have been modified.
Yeah, most of them are modified. But you know me, I love a modified car, so that's fine. As long as it's been modified and tuned by a reputable company that I can then see. Because there's probably 2, maybe 3 out there that that are well known.
And not by Will on his drive with stance plus coilovers.
No, not Will on his drive, stance plus coilovers.
Or Dave down the road with a laptop.
Yeah.
Bang.
But yeah, if you happen to have one and you are keen to see it on the channel, we'll actually film a review of it. Me and James will probably do it. And you'll probably see it also on the JayEmm on Cars channel as well. Let us know by emailing us on landlord@theradiatorarms.com. We'll leave the details for that in the description below. But that is the most sensible car that I can think of.
Yeah, because it has got back seats.
That I have ever considered owning.
Okay. So what is your thoughts on kind of fast saloons? So like, or even coupes, like 3 Series or 4 Series now coupes, things like that, you know. What's your kind of thought and stuff like that?
Right. So I drove a absolutely awesome M3. It was the E92 with the V8. What a great engine. I mean, it was great. There's perhaps only one other V8 I can think of that just has that same vibe, which is the Audi R8 V8.
Yeah.
This one doesn't rev up as quickly. It's probably got a heavier flywheel for obvious reasons, but it is a great engine. It was a manual, which I really enjoyed, and I would want a manual probably for such a car because I'm really not that bothered about that sort of thing. It's quite nice having a manual, to be honest, a lot of the time, as long as it's not like the 550, as we discussed in the previous episode, where it's like having a leg day after you've had to do half an hour in traffic in that thing. So I've tried it. I have a slight problem.
What's that?
I'm prejudiced against BMWs and Mercedes.
Okay.
I was sitting in front of a BMW and a Mercedes owner.
Yeah. But that's fine. That's fine. You can be wrong. It's okay. It doesn't matter.
it's fine.
But they're not fast BMWs. And fast Mercedes.
No,
right?
and
that's the thing specifically.
We need to drag race both of our cars to see who's slower.
That will be an interesting one.
I think it would be me actually.
Oh,
actually, I think the old W124 coupe would get out dragged by your F11 520D.
Yes, yeah, I have just got a new car. It's the new detailing wagon, or valet wagon, should I call it?
And you can book this man to come and valet your car on Instagram at Mile By Mile Valeting. Isn't that correct?
Yes, or at milebymile.co.uk.
Fantastic.
3 counties area, is that correct?
Yeah, 3 counties area, or I will travel the length and breadth of the country if you've got enough cars to clean in one go.
Well, there you go. And then you'll get to see his lovely F11 5 Series in person.
It's blue over cream. Very
Ooh,
nice.
Tasty.
Yeah. You actually had to go down to a few places where you've ended up spending like a couple of days there cleaning a fleet, right?
Yes, the furthest
Or
place
collection.
is,
Sorry,
yeah,
a collection.
Collection.
It's a fleet if it's commercial. It's a collection if it's private.
Collection, yeah. I think the best one that I did, Hi Mo, is I went to Colompton in Devon, and you wouldn't believe the amount of people who've said to me, "Oh, you know, so how far have you gone for the furthest cleaning?" I go, "Oh, a place called Colompton in Devon. I'd never heard of this place before." I go, "Oh yeah, I know Colompton. You know, my brother lives there." It's like, I'm talking to someone who's like nearly 200 miles away from this place, and everyone seems to know it anyway. Went there and cleaned 2 amazing cars and his Range Rover. Range Rovers are also amazing, but the other 2, I'm not going to say what they were because obviously it's his privacy. But yeah, I travelled for those 2, believe me. But it was very much worth it. And then he bought one of them up here as a surprise a couple of weeks ago, and I actually got to go out in one of them, which was even better. And we're going on track with him next month as well.
We are indeed.
For James's birthday. He's hired a track, I won't say where. But yeah, a few of us are going out on track, and he's turning up in the other one that I cleaned. So I'm looking very much forward to doing that. That's amazing. You don't often get to go out in the cars that you clean. So that's going to be really cool. We're getting back to you and your conundrum.
Yeah, I've decided that I want one of his cars.
Yeah, I pretty much know which one it's going to be.
Do you know what? Do you now? Yeah. All right, we'll talk afterwards.
Okay,
The whole point was we weren't going to say anything about which cars you had.
No.
Anyway, but back to, let's make it about me for a change, because usually it's about James, and today I'm sitting in James's seat, so now it's all about me. I'm in the middle here. So we've got one car on the list that I haven't driven that I need to try. That is the Mark II Focus RS. in white, obviously.
It does actually,
green.
honestly, it shocks me that you said that. I'm shocked. So you didn't even say that when we conversed about this beforehand. I didn't think you were going to come out with any sort of Ford.
I was going to save that bombshell for right here, right now.
One thing I will say, though, is that, like, I've been running my Focus for 5 years, so the tax on it is bad, the fuel on it is worse, and the insurance, because it's got like a dozen mods, is also terrible for my age. I should have half the price of insurance. So at some point, hopefully, business grows and does well, and in a few years' time, I'll be able to go out and buy my first supercar, like a manual R8. Although after our conversation before about if you buy a £30,000 to £35,000 R8 early one, great, good for you, but it can throw up a 5-figure bill instantly, and at that point you will struggle as someone who's pushed themselves to buy a £30,000 or £35,000 car to cope with a £10,000 to £12,000 bill for, oh, you got a bit of suspension work here, a bit of that there, and a bit of this there. It becomes a problem. That's also something that you're going to have to think about with your one, because if you were to buy, say, an E60 M5, you've always wanted one, you can pick them up for 20 grand, no problem, they're everywhere for 20 grand, but then you suddenly have the problems they have with the engines and the gearboxes, and it suddenly comes up with a £10,000 to £15,000 bill. You've now just blown your budget out of the water, and you're starting to put supercar ownership costs onto what isn't effectively a supercar.
And then you end up chewing up all that money you've saved.
All the money you saved is chewed up. But the one thing that you're not going to have to suffer with is going, oh, the car I had before, like the RX-8 has effectively been your daily, your sort of sensible go-to car, sensible go-to car.
Yeah, once or twice a week.
But it's had rubbish fuel economy.
Yep.
Because they do. It's had £700 a year tax, and yeah, the insurance is probably not going to be a problem for you. So whatever car you go to next, whatever it is, cannot be worse tax and probably isn't going to be worse fuel economy. So that's not really a consideration. But the running costs and the costs of maintenance
costs is an issue.
Definitely an issue.
100%. Because if it is something that does then throw me a 10 grand bill, well, that's kind of defeating the purpose, right? Because that's not how I want to be spending the money. But we'll come back to that. We'll come back to costs. I know you want to keep talking about costs.
No.
He's trying to be the James today. He's trying to be very sensible
one.
Yeah.
Yeah, James, sensible. Actually, he is quite sensible.
He is.
When he wants to be. So, and it's actually trying to get me to be sensible. But, right. So, let's go back to the question of Mercedes and BMWs.
Yes.
Now, fast Mercedes and BMWs in and around the London area have a tendency to kind of blast down 30-mile-an-hour roads at 50 miles an hour with pops and bangs maps and really loud DSG farts. You know, they just go, and you're just like, what a knob. And everyone looks at these fast BMWs and fast Mercedes and fast Audis, actually. Fast Audis, not the R8, but they're all just
RS3s.
All of that. Yeah. There was a case recently with, even the AMG A45s, that sort of thing, right?
There was a case recently with hatred for those cars, but yeah, carry on. Yeah,
there was a case recently where 3 guys got 42 months in prison between them, racing up some motorway somewhere. 2 AMG A45s, one was it RS4, RS5, one of the two, something like that. 150 miles an hour up a motorway, apparently.
Oof.
And they got sent to jail for dangerous driving. Right. Now, they tend to be fast German saloons or hatchbacks with loud exhausts, modified in some description, at least lowered. And the stereotype, particularly in and around the London area, is not a good one.
Yeah.
So, and this is why I say I'm a bit prejudiced against
I can
these
understand
cars.
that.
Now, if I was getting a proper daily like yours, and getting a sensible BMW estate that's, what was it, 2 litre?
Yeah, just a 2 litre 4-pot diesel, rear-wheel
lovely,
drive,
silky smooth 8-speed ZF gearbox.
And then no problem whatsoever. Absolutely no problem whatsoever. But I would feel a little bit self-conscious, and this for me is an important thing. I am at a certain age in my life. I'm in my 50s now. I've done all the sensible stuff. I've raised a kid. He's all grown up now. He's independent, getting to do his own thing. And when I was younger, I didn't have the money to enjoy cars properly. and I didn't have the time because I had a kid so young, got married so young, had a kid so young. It just wasn't an option. So I am actually kind of almost like still trying to experience all of the things now where I've got more resources available to me that I couldn't afford to do either in terms of money or time when I was younger, even in my 30s. You know, you might get to your 30s, you might be a bit better off than you were in your 20s, so you might get to enjoy certain things. But then for a lot of people by then, they've got young kids, and so now they have to have something sensible.
Oh, yeah.
So yeah, I'm probably in some form of a midlife crisis that's been rather extended.
Porsche Panamera, that surely's got to be fun, and that's got to tick the boxes of big boot.
Yeah,
and,
that's actually a great.
and you know, having some form of spiciness to it, and being able to carry people if required. You know, and then not also being pigeonholed probably in the same people as the idiots.
Yeah,
in the
Panameras
BMW.
aren't typically driven by idiots.
No, they're driven by people who are probably closer to your age, Ant, and who and also. No. Listen, I don't mean that as an insult because they're driven by people
Yeah, it's
with
Driven by
money,
people who are practically pensioners like you, Ant.
with money who have made it, and they want something that is a little bit more
Yeah,
understated.
professionals, executives.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I'm not that understated though, that's the thing.
I have just a completely left field suggestion. Going back to sticking with the cost aspect of it again. When I say, you know, you go onto eBay or Auto Trader with a theoretical limit of money, and the car has to fill a certain criteria, and then you end up wandering into 4 times your price bracket.
That's how I ended up with the R8. Yeah.
Well, I started looking at between 5 and 8 grand for the car that I was looking for. So I was looking at like E-Class estates, A6 a van, 520, 530Ds. Then you start like wandering up into the thing. Would something, as it's going to be a daily, but as you said, you only use it once or twice a week, and the only thing you do is go from where you live to here and back. It's not exactly super exciting, and you're doing it for a purpose. You're going from A to B, not A to...
I take the scenic route at every opportunity.
Yeah, I take the scenic route also, and the scenic route sometimes presents itself automatically. But would something that's sensible and cosseting, but also got a bit of an exciting engine, but also...
Give me an example.
Okay. An E92 3 Series, but a coupe, and it's got the 3 litre straight 6 non-turbo. So it's got a reliable, not exactly super thirsty, but still zingy enough to pump you down the road when you want it, and you've still got the BMW driving dynamics, etc. But you could pick up an immaculate one in incredible condition for like 15 grand and have 10 grand left for it's 15 years old, things are going to go wrong with it. So you've got a pot of money to, or maybe even just modify it, just slightly to personalize it for yourself. And it's going to be cheap on insurance. It's going to be cheaper on, everything basically. And the running costs are just going to be standard 330i BMW costs. That's it. I mean, is that not something that could appeal?
So here's another thing. Here's another criterion.
Ooh.
Because I'm in this midlife crisis phase, I want to feel good in the car that I'm in.
Okay.
And a part of that is I want to park the car, lock it, walk away, and want to have to turn around and have one last look.
Yeah.
Now, I'm going to tell you about a car that you won't believe that I felt this way about. And it's a bit of an odd one. An Infiniti Q60.
That's a saloon, right?
Okay.
It's a coupe.
A coupe.
Yeah, it is a 2+2 coupe. It's like the Nissan's equivalent of the Lexus RCF.
Okay. Oh, has it got the 3.7 V6 in it?
No, it's after that they've got the 3-litre twin turbo. There were few and far between, and then they pulled out of Europe because the R&D costs of meeting European emission standards became untenable. So Infiniti pulled out of Europe.
Have you thought about another 350Z?
Yes,
Oh, God.
I so did. In fact, my son sent me one the other day. Then James sent me the same car, and it was a special edition. It was the 3.8.
Okay.
3.8, I think it was called R or SR. I think it's 3.8 SR. It's a very, very rare car. Very few of them were made. I think only one came to the UK, but it was £34,000.
Okay, maybe one not that expensive. Maybe one that's still nice. Because I feel like
I would like an HR.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd
Does
like
it
an
have
HR.
to be though?
It'd have to be an HR. I wouldn't. The main reason I'd want an HR is just because they're newer. It's going to be more reliable, less likely to have quite so much rust underneath. I wouldn't want to get like an older one, because then it's going to require too much work.
Is that one with the little hump in the bonnet that made 312 instead of 286 or whatever it was?
That's correct. Yeah.
Yeah.
It had a slightly shallower angle on the V, so they needed a bulge in the bonnet to allow for the extra height of the engine.
There was a Gran Turismo 4 edition made of the 350Z. Have you seen that?
Yes, I actually met someone who had it, and
No
it
way.
came with a PlayStation and the game.
There was one that used
In
to
yellow.
live in a village just down the road from me, and it was there for like 15 plus years. It's bright yellow, but it was based on the original 286 brake one.
Yep.
But yeah, I've only ever seen one, and that was the one. I'd just
only
love
ever
to know
seen
how
one.
many were made.
I don't think that, not very many. But I have considered a 350.
Yeah.
Now, here's a good reason for the 350, and then I'm going to give you a bad reason for the 350.
Okay.
The good reason is I love them. Actually, there's a couple of good reasons. I love them. If you know how to pack the boot, there's actually a decent amount of boot space, and there's storage behind the seats. So there's space behind the seats. You can shove a bag without having to give up too much leg room, and there's an adequately sized boot. It's a bit of a pain because it's got a cross brace that goes over the top, so it reduces how much of the space you can use compared to, say, a 370Z. But nonetheless, it's got literally. I used to go on road trips with my son, and we'd pack out the boot with all of our stuff, 2 people's worth of luggage for a week, no problem. So I think we can handle a couple of camera bags and, a weekend bag or 2, which is the kind of thing that I think James is concerned about. The bad thing about a 350Z is the cross brace. Is that unless you've got everything as being a soft bag, it's just quite hard to pack into the boot. Oh, and the other good thing is that when I'm done with it as my sensible daily, quote unquote sensible daily, then my son and I can turn it into a drift missile.
So you don't want to find the best example then? If it's going to be a drift missile,
Now, by the time I'm done with it as my quote unquote daily, it'll have the miles on it. Might as well keep it. It would have lost so much money that I might as well just turn it into a drift missile.
Honda S2000.
No, storage. It's not enough.
they're probably getting too expensive
Yeah,
as well.
they are.
I think for a nice one, they've held their value.
Oh, I used to see those on eBay and Auto Trader with a bit of rust, a couple of knocks here and there, like an original AP one from 99 2000 for like $3.5-4 grand, and now you can't even buy a rough one for like $8 or $9 grand, and good ones are approaching 20 really rapidly.
Are there any other Audis you think of? Audi saloons, RS4s, anything like that?
I did, for a short time, have a bit of a thing for the RS3 saloon.
I love the RS3 saloon.
I can't remember what edition that was.
The last bastion of the 5-cylinder engine.
Why not go down that avenue? Have you looked into any of them? Looked into any of the
It's
pricing?
another fast Audi, isn't it?
Yeah, they do have a very, very poor image.
Yeah, I suppose.
And look, that's the thing. It's like, I don't know. In a way, I'd almost prefer to go down the route that Ben was suggesting of just get an okay presentable car that's does the job.
Because the thing with an okay presentable car, i.e., like the Golf, means when you're in something else, something nicer, you appreciate it so much more.
No, I appreciate them all every time.
That was part of my point, was that when you want to go out and you want to actually have a drive and feel special and go fast or whatever, you've got a Lamborghini for that. So your daily that you're just going to drive to the shops or just come over here to record or whatever, that could just be anything.
If I was driving between 4 to 7 days a week,
Yeah.
because a lot of people I know, like you, for example, Will, where you live, you have to drive to work every day.
Yes.
Yep. Every day you have to drive 7 days a week or 6 days a week, and probably 7 days a week by the time you socialize, because then everywhere you want to socialize, in order to get there, you have to drive there, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Probably the same for you.
I am in exactly the same position. I cannot leave my house without having a car.
Yep, same.
So in the last month, I've driven my car to socialize once. And that was to go to the cinema with my son. And we were coming from 2 different places. We met at the cinema in our respective cars. We went home. And that's the only time that I've had to drive to socialize. So the number of times I've driven to work in the past month, or even 3 months, is zero, apart from YouTube work, but in terms of my other work. So literally, I'm coming up here. This is almost all of my driving at the moment, once or twice a week. So I am not driving every day and thinking, oh, I really, let me just drive a regular car for 5 out of the 6 days I'm going to be driving this week and have that one special day. Every time I get in any car, for me, is a special moment. Even driving up here today.
I have to say, you literally just said I haven't driven to work in 3 months.
Apart from...
I've only used my car socially once, and I do this trip once or twice a week. It quite literally sounds like you don't need a car. You don't. Could you not just... I know you say you don't want to daily the Lamborghini or whatever, but just...
No.
But it's not dailying it if you're only driving
still 100
once or
miles
twice.
round trip. I mean, 110 mile round trip.
Okay, I was going to say 25 grand's a lot of fuel.
Yeah.
In a month, that's 400 odd miles.
So that's an extra 5,000 a year.
You got to think about the depreciation
on the car.
as well.
Yeah, that is a depreciation.
So I don't mind bringing it up here once a month.
Yeah, like you brought it up today. I got so excited, and then Will turned up, and I was like, "Oh, I forgot you were picking us up."
Yeah.
Sorry about that. But I've got an idea. How about something just really kind of gangster, VIP style?
Yeah, you seem to love the Merc with the music and stuff like that. Something that makes you feel a certain way when you get in it because it has that image, like not a bad image, but a good
What about
image.
like
Classic 190E, I'll be so happy. But anyway,
some form of kind of like Lexus saloon or Toyota, like maybe in like what is it? Is it the Centuries, the Crowns, something like that?
Yeah. No luxury barges.
No luxury barges?
barge.
Really?
Oh my god, my next train, literally I've been thinking in my head, like, what can we offer him? Because he says he doesn't want this, he doesn't want that, and he doesn't like this and that. I was literally about to say, what about like an S8 or something? It's still got that
What's
big...
an S8?
Audi S8.
Audi S8 is the biggest saloon they make, but it still comes with V8.
VW Phaeton?
Oh, yeah.
ULEZ.
The original, like, D2 S8.
Sorry, can I just explain? So if anyone isn't from the UK listening or watching this, ULEZ is the ultra low emission zone. And what that means is if you go into certain cities like London or Birmingham,
Edinburgh,
various cities around the UK, there is like an amount of money you have to pay just to enter the city in your car if the car doesn't meet certain emission standards. So basically, certain older cars, anything older than around probably 2006 if it's a petrol car, and anything older than, I think it's 2012 for diesel cars. I can't remember the exact years now, but in and around that. Basically, every time you then have to go into I have to go into London, and it's like even on the border of London, like you drive 2 minutes down the road from my house, and I'm in the zone.
GT86.
Yes,
like
now that has been suggested. That has been suggested, and I'm just not sure that I'm as much of a fan of those. But I tell you what, I would consider is a Lexus RCF. Do you know the one I mean?
I think so.
they?
Lexus RCF.
You can get one for 25.
Really?
An okay one.
And it'll be bulletproof as well because it's a Lexus.
And so interestingly, the RCF and the Infiniti Q60, very, very similar format cars.
Yeah.
Styling wise, not crazy different. The problem with the Q60 would be that, so the benefit of the Q60 is it's the Nissan platform. The people that do all the tuning and like
This particular
Yep.
kind of thing. This
Yep.
thing, so you get an
Oh,
idea.
that's
Ben.
yeah. I like
it looks
that.
a bit Jag-like, doesn't it?
It does. The front end looks very XC. Is it XC?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Jags? Have you thought about Jags?
I have. I'll come back to the Jags in a moment. I have. Right. So the thing I like about the Q60 is that it's a bit different. Like you just don't see them around.
Were they a UK market car?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, but they just didn't sell very many of them.
Yeah.
Which has its pros and its cons. But in my favour, because the people that look after my 370Z, they're independents who work on all manner of Nissans, right the way from old 240Zs through every generation of Skyline and GTR, right the way through to the modern day stuff. And they've got experience with all of these engines.
Okay.
They're pretty much renowned as one of probably two Nissan specialists in the UK. I am more than happy to take them something like a Q60. They know the engines inside out. A lot of the parts are shared across the different platforms, and I know that, you know, we could probably do some little tweakings with the engine and, you know, not take it too far, but, you know, and do some nice little subtle mods that would make it a little bit more me, right? The downside of the car is that nobody. It's not like the reason that there are hardly any of them is because no one wanted them. And I would probably then be stuck with that car regardless. Like, you know, James said it to me. He said, yeah, but when you're ready to sell that car,
they must be in a really funny position, because if they had sold like, I don't know, 5,000 a year of those here, they would be worth tuppence, because there's so many of them and people don't want them. But they must be stuck in a little bit of a weird spot where people who do want them and know how good they are, it's worth money to them. So they must have held a bit of residual value, because of the rarity factor, and the people who do want them are going to pay. So is it worth the money that they're asking, or are they just inflated because of the rarity factor in this country?
I don't know. I'm just trying to tell you the cars that I've looked at that I thought, actually, I would park that car, I would lock it, I would walk away, and I'd want to turn back and have one last look.
Okay, on that factor, Alfa Romeo.
Yeah, I'd want the Quadrifoglio.
Another
not in the ballpark.
No, not yet.
Yeah, it's in the 30s.
Completely left field yet again. What about Mini Cooper JCW stuff like that?
Oh, funny you should mention that. So my son and I were talking about that. We were looking at actually something like a GP1, which I thought looked cool. I prefer that to the GP2s.
That's the one with the double spoiler on the roof, isn't it? It sort of goes up like that and then down and then back up again, right? The GP1. It's got a very odd wing on the back.
The oddest one is the GP2, which has got the really weird wheel arches that kind of like winglet wheel arches.
Really? I haven't seen one of those.
Yeah. Did consider that. I've driven an R56 Coupe S, which was my son's car originally, and I did enjoy it, but whether or not I don't know if I'd enjoy it. I don't know. I feel like I want something a bit bigger, but not too big.
Well, that's where the F56, the later generation minis, come into play. As I've said before, my wife had one, and I'd be amazed how much space there is in them and how refined they are. But I imagine having like one of the faster ones, you'd probably have a pretty decent time. Yeah. And, you know, post 2017, I think 2018 is when I believe they did the facelift. So you got nice features like Apple CarPlay, you got the newer lights and things. Yeah. But you'll get those for a decent value, and they'll still have, nigh on 200 horsepower. And they'll offer them in manual still. You can get them then, and they'll be easy to park if you do have to go out into central London somewhere, need to go to a shop. They'll still feel very competent on motorways, dual carriageways, things like that for the trips here. But when you get onto the back roads, you'll be able to kind of throw them in and have a little bit of fun.
Okay. Well, so far we've got
350Z possible.
350Z. I think, you know, the wife, i.e. James, probably won't approve that. Because it doesn't have back seats, but that's okay. Let's have it on the list, because I think we need to have the conversation about the whole back seats thing. Because if I have back seats, because maybe once in a whole year a person might need to use it, I'm not buying. That's not going to happen. Right. So maybe a 50Z, maybe Ford Focus RS Mark II. I need to drive one to know if I'd like it or not. I'm going to keep Q60 on the list because I've looked at some of there's one on the market right now, a beautiful kind of dark metallic blue. It's got quite a tasteful body kit on it. I think it looks quite cool. That I want to keep that on the list because I quite like it. I think the RCF is probably got to be on the list, the Lexus RCF. And our friend Ben of Dad Cars recently did a review on that. Not Ben the Sparkle, Ben the Dad Cars. He did a review and he sung its praises. So we've got that on the list. I think if you think about each of those cars, I just feel like the Mini, like that, like if you think about even the Focus RS, for me that was a real iconic car.
The Mini is also one of the most iconic cars in the world.
I know.
Even the modern ones, there's a lot of them about.
If and there's an original one,
Listen,
Yeah.
there's a lot of those cars about, and they're well loved for a reason.
Yeah, that's
If you
true.
haven't driven one, I think you need to try one.
I've driven a 56.
Okay, but you haven't driven the F56, which is the newest one, and with like the 2-litre petrol engine.
I don't like the look of them. They're too
I want
big.
to drive the R53, the original 1.6 supercharger. I've always had a fascination with those cars.
Oh, yeah, those are pretty
purely
good.
because of the supercharger.
Yeah.
I thought that when they came out, I was like, oh, I don't like it because it's not a real Mini, it's BMW. And then I heard one, I was like, oh, I don't care. That sounds
Yeah.
great.
That wouldn't be. But all right, we'll have a Mini on the list.
Just to try, it can be something to try, because you might find that you can forgive the fact that they look a little bit frumpy for the way they'll drive, what they'll do for you, in regards of parking and performance and the fun factor. They are more fun than you think.
Ben, did he say frumpy?
He did
he
use
said
the word
frumpy.
frumpy.
I think that means it's a no-go.
Yeah, it can't
it's a
have
no-go.
any sort of frump on a car.
No frump.
Well,
Yeah.
that's subjective.
Aston Martin.
Frump is subjective.
Sorry, my brain is like a Rolodex and it's just going through and going ping.
Go on, yeah,
say
right.
Aston Martin. Vantage V8, original 4.3 V8 Vantage.
Yes.
Super special, and you will spin around and look at that when you park it in a car park.
But for 25 grand,
Yeah.
how much more am I going to have to spend on it to make sure that
I think that falls into the category of will throw big bills.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's what I
but
think.
I had to say it anyway because
I think 50 grand, if I was going in on something like a DBS,
yeah,
right, at 60, 65, or just a V8 Vantage that's in that sort of like 45 to 50 grand, that's a really, you can find a really good
Oh, you can find a really good V8 Vantage for 35 grand.
for 35.
Yeah, really. Honestly.
There we go. So
Yeah.
that's definitely
I have
outside.
played this game
the
so many
budget.
times. Me and my brother. Hi, James. You don't watch or listen, I don't think, but hello.
Different James.
Different James. Yes.
So many Bens and Jameses.
Oh my God. So many Jameses.
No, Anthony will do fine.
So yeah, we used to play the game in the back of Auto Trader magazines and stuff like that, where they would just have used cars, or the one in the back of, I think it was Car Magazine, used to have every new car and all the basic
Yeah.
specifications in the back.
Yeah.
And he'd buy one and I'd buy the other, and etc. And we would have like, it has to be less than 20 grand, it has to have 4-wheel drive, can't be German, and you'd have to go away and find like the best thing you could. So I've played this game so much since I was a kid, and the budget was usually something realistic around 20 to 30 grand. And I've played this game so much, but when put on the spot, it's like your brain just goes, forget everything. Forget everything you know about cars.
Do you have any love for any of the 5-cylinder Volvos?
Yes.
I know you do.
Yes.
You do, but Ant, any thoughts on those? Because I think there's some pretty sexy
Good
looking cars, some
Lord.
nice interiors,
Nope.
and some interesting engines. Because even if maybe the engine can be the interesting bit
No,
about
this
the
goes
car.
back to the conversation in the previous episode. Go and watch that. That's a good episode about cars and mismatched gearboxes. They made an S60R using what essentially was the Focus RS Mark II's engine, 300 brake horsepower, 2.5 litre 5-cylinder turbo in the S60 platform. Fantastic. They coupled it with this terrible automatic gearbox from the mid-2000s, and if that had a manual in it, that would be a cult classic by now. And it had 4-wheel drive as well, which the Focus RS Mark II never got. I would probably have bought one of them by now if it had the manual in it, but it was coupled with this awful automatic gearbox.
Nissan Cube.
No. You mentioned Jags, and I said we should come back to that.
Thank you.
Come on, it's quirky. It's interesting.
I like
You'd certainly
it. I
look
like
back
it.
at it every time you
I
park
think it's
it.
cool. I think asymmetric cars are awesome. I think they're really cool, but I don't think I could ever see Ant walking within 50 feet of one, let alone wanting to.
I think they're
one.
quite cool, and I would have one if I had a regular need to drive up the road to pick up car parts, and I would make sure that I went full on Daikoku Tokyo style
God.
mods on that thing. I'm talking not Tokyo Drifts levels of but modern
anime girl up the side.
No, none of that.
Loads
No,
of Japanese
no,
writing.
No, more classy than that. But I would still go full on
Waifu up the back.
Daikoku meets type thing.
I'm just imagining Anthony.
Yeah.
A waifu Nissan Cube.
Now you've got to get one.
No,
Okay,
You could
talk
save
about
20
Jaguars
grand because they're
quickly.
cheap.
no.
No,
Let's go back to Jags.
Jaguars, please.
you don't. You said you don't want a big saloon, and Jags basically sell big saloons. That's all they do.
And convertibles and coupes.
They do the F-Type.
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 Yeah.
That's now.
Now,
That's a good. Yeah.
the first video
Aha.
on Sports and Touring was a review of the Jaguar F-Type the 3 litre, no,
Yeah, 3 litre.
yeah,
V6.
3 litre V6 R dynamic,
Yep.
380 horsepower.
Yeah.
I had that car for 3 months
Oh, wow.
on loan.
Jesus.
Yeah, someone smashed into the back of my my previous 370Z, and
Well, they gave that as a loaner.
well, yeah,
Like for like kind of thing, isn't
well,
it?
yeah, because they gave. Well, here's the thing, right? So I basically they gave me some 2 litre BMW, I don't know, coupe of some description. I don't remember what it was now. And I was like, didn't you say you were going to do like for like? And they went, yeah. I was like, okay, so can you help me understand how this relates? I have a 3.7 litre V6 2-seat sports car. You've given me a 2 litre 2+2 coupe. And they went, oh yeah, we see what you mean. All right, leave it with us. So they went away and they said, look, unfortunately, the only car we could find that was comparable to yours in terms of being a 2-seater, 350 to 60 horsepower car was this F-Type dynamic. Would you settle for that?
Settle. Yeah.
I said, okay, I'll take it. Now, I didn't realize that at this point how long it was going to take to fix my 370Z. I thought I'd have it for a week and give it back. No big deal. Then it turned out that the boot floor in that particular car had a little bit of damage. Luckily, they just bolt straight out and they put a new one in. Trouble is, nobody keeps them in stock and they were on back order from Japan. So they had to overnight parts from Japan over a course of about 3 months. So I ended up having this car for about 3 months, and that was around the time when I was my son had stopped racing. I wasn't making any content anymore. I had a GoPro and a phone that I used to use to help him make his content, and that's when I picked that up and I made my first video. And I remember really enjoying that car. So, F-Type, it's not great storage in the back, but you can make it work. You can make it work. Bit awkward, but you can make it work. No, it's no worse than a 350Z. So an F-Type is a potential, but it has to be the 3 litre R dynamic.
Bit more gangster as well.
I think so. See, now that is a car that I know that I will park it, I will lock it,
Oh, yeah,
and I'll be
you will
walking
look
away from it, and I will
100%.
look back and I'll be like, oh yeah.
What colour would you have it in?
Yeah, guess.
You wouldn't go for black?
I would have it in white.
You hate black cars, don't you,
100%.
pretty much?
No.
Or a nice green. White or a nice green.
Do you know why I would just go for white? Just because all the other cars are white, and it's just kind of become a bit of a
And they do look great in white. They have a great white.
yeah. The one that I had on loan was sort of like a dark gunmetal metallic grey colour. I actually thought it looked quite classy, and I think it's the kind of car that you wouldn't want something bright. Personally, I wouldn't, because it's just not that kind of car.
No, you wouldn't want bright yellow or anything like that on it. I don't think it would look good.
No.
I have seen them in red though.
Yes, I've seen them in red, and I think they look
Yeah,
pretty good in red. But
good.
it's a nice red. It's not like a
Yeah, it's not a Rosso Corsa, like kind of very bright red.
Yeah.
But it's also not burgundy. It's just nice.
It's a very classy car. I'm not saying that Rosso Corsa isn't classy, but it's for a supercar. That's a colour for a supercar. This is not a red that's a supercar red. It's
$25,000.
It's a classy sports, but you can get them.
I just thought of something else.
Go on.
I'm not sure if maybe they have, because obviously the hype and all of the price spikes and everything, because they came out right at the wrong time. GR Yaris.
Now, I've driven those.
Yeah?
I've driven the first gen, and I've driven the second gen. Two second gens, actually. I drove a manual and the flappy paddle.
Yeah.
And I'm really sorry for all those GR Yaris owners out there. I know that it is the coolest car in the world for you, but I just think they're overrated.
I'm so sorry, bro. I bought that up.
Yeah,
My brother
this is
bought
what-
one off the back of going to Goodwood last year. We walked past the Toyota paddock, and they had like 6 of them. They were all, one was powered by hydrogen, and the other one was the rally car, and the other one was like a modified road car, etc., etc.
Yeah.
And he saw it on the Saturday and went, I really like those. He went and viewed one on a Monday and bought it on the Friday.
Fantastic. I love that.
And he really likes it, but obviously not to your taste.
I think I don't know what it is about the car, but look, it's quick. You know, it's got a lot of punch. It handles pretty well. I think the coolest thing about that car is that it was made at all in the modern era.
Yeah,
Like-
it was a miracle.
If I could get with the car, it's the kind of car that I'd want to buy. Like, I don't know. Look, they sold out like almost instantaneously, didn't they?
Yeah.
But if they were struggling to sell them, I'd want to buy it just to support what Toyota did.
Yeah.
Because I think it's absolutely awesome.
We will never see a car built like that again at anywhere near that price point, because if you actually look into that car and the development of it, it's not even a Yaris platform.
Nope.
It's a Corolla or Auris platform, and there's like 2 or 3 things on that car that actually survived as standard parts. The whole roof and everything is completely and utterly bespoke to that car. The 4-wheel drive system, the engine,
Yep.
everything.
It's a special
And
car.
it
I
is-
won't lie.
They cannot have made any money. That's one of those, like, you cannot have made money on that car at 30 grand, 32 grand that they were selling it for. There's
Probably
no
didn't.
way that they made money on any of those cars.
But look at the hype it generated for
Oh,
them.
man,
And how
were
much
going
would they
for
have
massive
spent?
overs as well.
Yeah. How much would they have had to have spent on marketing?
R&D, like the whole bespoke manufacturing part of it. There's no way at 30k they made a penny.
Yeah. But I mean, I that's why I think everyone that bought one of those cars, I think, has done a great service for the car community by buying them. But they're in such demand. They're in such demand, and I'd only be buying a used one. I'd buy a first gen used for 25k, 20, 22 and a half, 25 maybe. But having driven them, I'm like, even after you've got the lowered seat rail for the first gen, the second gen you don't need it. You can just drop it right down, and actually the seating position in the second gen I thought was spot on. Once you got the lowered seat rail in the first one, the seating position is great, but I still feel like I'm sitting really high up. It's quite a tall car.
Yeah, but that's hot hatches on the whole. Like, and you don't.
And I know the Focus RS will be a tall car as well,
I'm telling you,
but it's a big, tall car.
I
if that
didn't
makes sense.
realise, because all I've ever driven is, the last 3 or 4 Ford hatchbacks that I've had have been all obviously Ford hatchbacks, and they've all had Recaro seats. And they're big and chunky, and you ride quite high, but you don't realise, because it's all about perspective. And once I had been out in the 296 for like 10 days, and then the next thing that I drove after that was my car, it felt like I was driving a Transit.
Yeah.
I was sat like in the roof, like with the wheel like this, and you just think, wow, I used to think I sat quite low in this thing, and you just don't. You get used to it after a while. And to be honest, when you're going through, small tangent but very much related, when you are going through back roads in something like an R8, your visibility is very low. If there's even a small crest, you're kind of like a bit getting off a little bit, because you think, is there a tractor? Is there a horse? Something like this. Whereas in the Focus, I'm not saying that it's fantastic that you're basically sat in the roof, right? But you've got a lot of visibility. You can see all the way, into the distance. So there is something to be said for a slightly higher driving position when driving those sorts of roads.
Yeah, and I also, I don't know, it's a great car, but there was just something for me personally. It was just something missing in terms of its overall, how I felt with that car.
Yeah.
So I'm going to put that on the almost made it pile.
I've had maybe it's a mild epiphany. Have you not thought about an earlier V8 R8 as the replacement for your later V10 R8?
Boot space.
Big bills.
Boot space.
Oh, and that.
And big bills. Boot space. That's the big issue.
Ooh, where
So I can't get a rear mid-mounted car because there won't be enough storage. Now, one of the things that I did consider briefly was a 911.
Okay.
Now, it's not the most practical thing in terms of storage, but you can use the back seats as storage. And
4-seater.
and the front has a good, decent size to it. There's just nothing else. But I decided against it because the best I could get for the money would be a 997.
They're quite old now, aren't they, as well?
Yep. Again, potentially big bills, potentially.
Yeah, and also you'd be on the very bottom end of a 997 with 25 grand. You'd be looking at like a Carrera 2 with a bit higher mileage and
Yeah, you can get a 4S.
4S even.
Yeah,
maybe.
in the ballpark there. But I decided against it because I think the 991, I think out of the posts,
Yeah.
air cooled era.
Yeah.
I think the 991 was the first one where I thought it's the rear tail lights. Do you know? That's the main thing for me. It's the rear tail lights. The 991 rear tail lights were
Perfect.
I'm going to go another left field thought. Have you thought about any kind of cheap EVs like some of the fast ones? What about like a Porsche Taycan? Are some of those in budget yet? Because I thought they lost an awful lot of money.
Audi e-tron, the original Audi e-tron, they absolutely bombed in value.
Yeah.
Instantly. You
James has a
20 grand
charger
easy.
attached to his house.
yeah. I can steal his electricity.
Exactly. He won't mind.
Do you know what? Actually, not the Taycan. I'm not a fan of the Taycan, but yes, the e-tron GT.
Yeah, the e-tron GT.
I don't know how much an RS one is, but probably not cheap enough for me yet. But yeah, the e-tron GT.
Yeah.
I did drive the RS. I felt like the suspension was a little bit soft for what it was. And weirdly, we had back to back. James had a Flying Spur from Bentley, beautiful in this sort of almost like pale army green color. It was just like with the whole black edition thing going on. I'll show you a picture later. Had that, and then went from that into the e-tron GT RS, and the e-tron GT RS suspension was more comfortable than the Bentleys. The Bentley drove like a sports coupe, which I just found bizarre, whereas the RS drove more like a Luxor barge.
James has suggested this before, and even I sneered at him and called bloody murder. But actually, I think some of the faster Teslas are well, I know, but value for money now, because nobody wants them. They're getting really cheap, and you get a lot of performance out of them. And you could just like put something over the Tesla badge so nobody knows. You could just put a BMW badge over it and nobody would know.
But there's no driving enjoyment to be had out of
I don't know. Do you know? No, the Model S's I've heard really good things about.
Yeah, having been out in, have I driven? Yeah, I drove a Taycan. Hi, Omar. And I drove one, and it was only for a short period of time. But once you get over oh my God, the acceleration on this, holy Jesus, there's nothing after that. There's no, there's just nothing. There's no soul to it. That's like the whole, if you're driving an Alpha, you can't mention passion and all this and the other. It's just another buzzword. But there's nothing there. Once you get over the acceleration, there's nothing there.
Look, let's just imagine that we lived in a slightly different world that we live in today. And I won't go into the reasons why I'm saying that, but you'll know when I finish what I have to say.
Mm-hmm.
I would consider a Tesla, but I just can't.
Yeah.
I just can't. The person behind it, I cannot have any association with that at all. But I will say, if we lived in a different world, I actually think the Model S is a good-looking car.
It's nothing to do with the looks or anything like that. It's just as a petrol head, I just don't think you. As a petrol head, I just don't think you could do that to yourself. I was going to suggest something completely on the other end of the scale.
I'm a car enthusiast. I actually have nothing against EVs.
No. I don't have anything against EVs.
I would even consider. Yeah, I do. I actually, in theory, I'd have to test drive one. But I've driven the new Renault 5, which I thought was pretty good. Surprisingly nimble. Only weighs 1,400 kilos, which in today's world,
quite impressive.
Yeah.
In today's world, is really pretty decent. I started driving it around Millbrook, and it was the slightly more expensive version with a bigger battery. And I was expecting it to be like this big old heavy, EV, like all the other big old heavy EVs that I've driven. It doesn't matter that it's a relatively small hatchback. I was expecting it to be just horrible. And I got to drive it around Millbrook on the hill, the Alpine circuit, which is, the road that
James Bond
was filmed on, rolling the, was it
DBS?
DBS, that was it.
God, Rapide. Not one of those. They're like bargain money now.
But is it going to be the maintenance cost with them as
it's
well?
not the maintenance cost thing.
So let's get back into the EV thing. But I drove this Renault 5 around there, and I got to the first corner. I was like, I went in quite timidly because let me just see what this thing. And I was like, this is this is really not very heavy at all. Why is it not heavy? I didn't know the numbers on it until I got back. And I just went faster and faster through these bends, went into them harder. And I was actually surprised at how nimble and agile the car was. And I thought, maybe the A290, the Alpine version of the Renault 5 might be even better. So I had a chat with one of the guys from Alpine who was at this event, and he was telling me that they've revised the suspension, the chassis is different. There's a lot of changes between the two cars. He said, I think it's probably worth trying. Now, the trouble is that's in the 30s. So when eventually they come down for the Alpines, when they eventually, come back on the market after someone's leased them for a year and they've lost a ton, then I could consider one of those. Right now, I could consider a brand new Renault 5, the cheaper version.
Yeah, we haven't considered any brand new cars because you can't really get brand new cars for that money except for
The Renault 5.
the Renault 5. So if you put that on a, say, 3-year, 2-year deal, would that not, instead of losing a chunk of 25 grand, just putting down whatever the deposit is and paying the monthly, would that be a better option for you financially? And obviously electric cars are just cheaper to run. And
Quite possibly.
And then it gives you the time for your channel to build and the JayEmm and Friends channel to rock it up as well, because we're all doing lots of work on here and podcasts. And thank you everybody once again for watching and listening, of course. And you never know, actually, because I quite like the look of the Renault 5.
I worked on a guy's Emira the other day, and his wife had just taken delivery of a new Renault 5. It was in black. I don't know if they're all 3 or 5 door. I haven't looked into anything, but it's 5-door in black.
5-door.
And it had the 5 decal up the side with the the stripes, and it did actually look pretty cool. That was retro done properly again. Yeah. And also the thing is with those, people talk a lot negatively about EVs, and to be honest, I am one of those people, but not for the reasons you might think. It must handle quite well because the center of gravity is all very low, because all the motors, especially the batteries, are in the floor pan of the car, and then the motors are kept very low. So there's no engine kind of suspended high up in the engine bay, and the front weight distribution is also incredibly keen on those cars as well. So yeah, it could very much well be a viable option.
That's a bit of a bombshell, that, isn't it, actually?
I never thought I'd actually be able to say, do you know what, that could be an option.
to an electric Renault 5.
Again, like we were saying in the previous video, perspective change.
Yeah.
You come into it going, no EVs, no, not even going to listen. Then going, actually, now that you mention it, it's a good idea.
Personally, I am totally okay with EVs. As long as I get to have my petrol cars as well, I'm happy. I think if I could only have one car, I wouldn't want it to be an EV, right? It would have to be, it'd have to be something petrol and fun.
Did I tell you I was thinking about possibly at some point replacing the Golf with something like a Dacia Spring or something like that?
Is that an EV?
It is. It's their entry level one. It's the one that's about 13, 14 grand, something like that.
That brand new?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
But it makes a lot of sense for me.
I just wouldn't get a BYD. And if you want to know why, watch James's channel, JayEmm on Cars. Just search BYD, JayEmm on Cars. But the Dacia, quite possibly, for you, is a better option than your Golf, because your Golf's a diesel.
Yeah.
Diesels don't like being switched on, driven short distances and turned off again. They
really
really
keep throwing bills.
Yeah. I can realistically do my weekly mileage on a single charge, I think, on one of those little Dacia Springs, something like that. They're only about 60 odd horsepower, but I also have access to other stuff. That's something I'm quite lucky. My wife has a 5-seat hatchback if I need to move something big. My dad's got an estate as well. My mum also has a 5-seat hatchback, Dacia Sandero. So I've kind of been thinking, actually, for the lease prices on some of these kind of cars, I could probably quite easily use one and have it kind of within the mileage amount, the mileage specification, and not cost more than like £150 a month. And then
Honda E.
Oh my god!
Oh, they're cool. They are so cool.
I love the Honda E. Okay, it's the only EV where I've looked at it brand new in the showroom and gone, I'd have that.
I was going to suggest that, but
have that right now.
I don't think they have enough mileage in it for Ant's commute to here.
Yeah, they're a bit
home.
small.
I was just talking about you. Sorry, we're diverting away from you for a moment. But for you,
Oh
Honda
my goodness, a Honda E. I think they're some of the coolest looking things.
It's also, do you know what? When I was in the showroom, the guy came over and he showed us this thing, and I was like, I just want this car. I just want it. It's got a 3-pin UK plug socket in it, and it's got a dashboard that's just one big wraparound screen, but it's like 3 different sections of screens.
It's got an HDMI plug, so you can
and it's
play
got
your games
HDMI,
console.
so you can quite literally just put a PS5 in the footwell and bang in a power socket and a HDMI and just be sitting there chilling, playing games in the passenger seat. And I just thought, if this thing had more than 100 miles range in it, this would be a great road trip car.
So I think the question is now, because we've been at this for a little bit now, and we've been back and forthing. From the things that we've said, what are the standout cars to you currently?
I'm going to go with, I can't believe I'm saying this,
Renault 5.
the Renault 5 is actually quite high on the list right now. Although I think I will probably try and wait until some second-hand ones are on the market if they're not already out there. And the main reason for that is because they depreciate so much.
Yes.
I wouldn't want to get a brand new one. But the Renault 5 is an option.
Yes.
You might want to if they're doing deals.
You'll be amazed. A lot of the manufacturers are doing deals. I'm pretty sure, as I said, looking at the Dutch Spring, I'm pretty sure it's 0% APR on them.
Wow.
And on some of them, basically, literally, the cost of the car that you pay cash is what you're paying on the finance. It's one of the reasons that they are looking so kind of enticing to me.
God, I haven't seen deals like that for donkey's years.
It's because not a lot of people want to buy EVs.
Yeah.
So there has to be an incentive, and there's no more government incentives anymore.
They're coming back.
Oh, are they?
They're coming back, yes. It was just announced that government incentives were coming back. However, actually, James and I and Will on our group chat for the Radiator Arms were discussing this earlier, because this isn't the only time we talk about cars, would you believe? It's also pretty much every day. But on that group chat, we were just sort of discussing it. And James made a really good point, actually, that the market's pretty much saturated now. The used market, you're getting cars, EVs that are just, a couple of years old, and they're just dirt cheap.
Oh, yeah.
E-tron. Yeah. Even, what was it? Recently, Johnny Smith bought a Model S plaid. Not plaid. No, what was it? Performance.
It
was
Performance,
P90D. That was a
P90D,
P90D. He thought it was a 90D, but it's not. It's a P90D. And sorry, he thought it was a P90. Sorry, not a P90D. I think that's it. Yeah, because the dual motor was the one that made it faster.
Yeah.
And it has the was it insane mode or
Yes. Is he ludicrous?
ludicrous
Yeah,
mode? That's
ludicrous
it.
mode,
Had the
yeah.
ludicrous mode.
Lude up.
And it still had the unlimited Tesla
Supercharging.
Oh, yeah. That was like the 2013-14 models to entice people into buying in the first couple of years.
Yep, and this one still has it on it. Now, if you take it to a Tesla dealership, I think you end up losing it or something like that. But there are other ways around that. He's working with an independent EV maintenance
place, yeah.
firm. So he should be able to keep his unlimited supercharging, free supercharging. But he got that for $5,000.
$5,000.
Mm-hmm. Now, it had a problem.
Yeah,
It had a
I
problem.
imagine.
And they had some error on the screen, but the independent shop said, "Look, we know what that is. That is
It was
the
a
pirate
fuse, yeah.
the
And it
pirate fuse on the batteries."
It's actually a relatively easy fix. It really was. And the thing is, if you know what it is and how to do it, then yes. But as they were saying in the video, a lot of people and traders and normies were scared off of it, because as soon as people think about high voltage stuff on EVs and errors of battery not charging, they go, that's a $10,000 battery. No, thank you. Even though it isn't necessarily always that way.
I think it was like a £300.
It was something in the grand scheme of things that was quite cheap. They think they had to do a couple of control arms and a couple of basic maintenance stuff that you do on any car anyway.
Yeah,
And it was up and running for not a lot of money.
my guess would be parts and labour $2,500.
Yeah.
That would be my guess.
Yeah, so for less than
He didn't say
$8,000,
what it
he's got
was.
a car with free fuel.
Yeah. And the battery was still holding a majority of its charge.
Yeah, it was like 80-something%.
I think it was around, it was either late 70s or early 80s.
80s,
And it was at a point, because they're not like mobile phone batteries where they're under
I was going to say, that's better than a 2-year-old iPhone.
Yeah, exactly. They probably still got more life left in it, battery mileage wise, than some of the new EVs coming out now have from new.
Yeah. So, and you can get some second-hand EVs pretty dirt cheap. But so the point is that, because the market's saturated, there's all these dirt cheap EVs on the second-hand market. They're dirt cheap because nobody wants them. And this is the way James put it, and I thought he was absolutely nailed it when he said this. Everyone who wants one has one.
Yeah.
And most other people either don't want one or can't have one because right now what they'd have to then do if they don't have a charger is they'd have to get a charger installed, and it's not as straightforward as just saying, right, I want a charger installed. No, there's a whole procedure you have to go through with your council to have it installed, and it depends on what kind of wiring that you've got.
Yeah, I was going to say the wiring is really important. Where I'd have it where I am now, I have access not too far away from where I are to my mother's garage, and in front of that we could easily put a connection on, and I could charge a car there and walk home from there. That's not a problem. That's fine. But the issue is that's already on, I think, on a sub panel of the main panel, and I think the house only had either a 60 or an 80 amp service for what has to do a lot of stuff. Your cooker's 32 amps and things like that. It gets to a point where if you haven't got enough power in, it's a pain. Here I could do it where I am at work because we've got 3-phase power. That's a possibility, but it's just not everybody is going to be in a position where they can actually have a charger, and then you have to pay public charging for them, which is exactly in the meantime, which can be more expensive than putting petrol in
and
the
it's
car.
your time as well, because if a car takes even 45 minutes to put charge in, that's something you've got to do depending on how far you drive.
I've actually got a pretty decent public charger at a relatively low rate that's literally a 30-second walk from my house, so it wouldn't be a problem. And it's in a car park, so it's fine. Look, I know people who've had to wait 3 months to get a charger installed, get through the entire process of having it approved, getting it installed, all of that stuff. But I'm not too fussed about that. I'd be happy to do that. So I think an EV's on the cards. I think the e-tron GT might be a possibility. Not the other one, not the what's it called, the SUV crossover thing.
Yeah.
None of those. No, the GT.
Oh, I was talking about the crossover, because you can see them for 17 to 20 grand now.
I'd get the saloon.
I'm not recommending a crossover to anyone, but if you're looking for cheap electric transport,
No, I'd go for the saloon. It won't be cheap electric transport, but it'll be very, very cool. And I do think they're good-looking cars. So again, it's the car that
basically a Taycan with a better looking body on it, in my opinion. I think the e-tron GT looks better than the Taycan.
I agree. So that's a possibility. The Renault 5 is a possibility. Two completely different cars, but I do think the 5 is cool. Plus, I think I would have more fun driving that on the fun roads, having had that experience, than I would something like the e-tron GT. Yep. Okay, so then we've got, in the petrol category, slightly better represented, we've got the Focus, Mark II Focus RS, which I need to drive. I haven't driven one yet, so if you have one, please let me know. I will try your ST, but I really want to know what the actual RS is like, because you never know. We've got, obviously, a 350Z, which I've driven many before. I've owned one before, and I would happily do that again, but I would probably go for an HR. Probably not quite as practical, though, realistically.
No. My Focus's boot, just on this subject, is actually more usable than the new 5 Series Touring that I've just bought, because I have a specific. I know it's crazy, but everything that needed to go in the Focus was put in a certain way. This goes there, and the fold-up table goes there, and all my bags and liquids and whatever, and machines goes in the Focus. All I needed to put on the back seat was 4 boxes. With the BMW, it's not as deep. It's got a raised boot floor.
Right.
And I had to put more stuff, including my big bag and more boxes and a little carry thing that I just put bits and bobs that I'm using like brushes all across the back seats, because I could not fit it in the boot. Honestly, that Focus is ultra practical.
Here's your solution to that. Is what you do is you just put up the divider, which goes like the dog guard that's built into it, and you don't pull over the cover. You know what I mean, don't you? It's got the bit.
Stack it to the roof.
You just stack it to the roof. Job done.
But that's
the whole point of having an estate, isn't
Exactly.
it?
Honestly,
That's
I've
what I
fallen
do
in love
with
with
mine.
that dog guard thing that pulls up.
Yep.
Right, and is super cool. You just click these things out the roof, and up it goes. That bar that it comes out of, with the clever thing that when you fold the bit, it comes down like this. That cuts off a large height about 6 inches into the thing. So when I've got my table in there and I go to put the Hoover and the Vax and this, that, and the other, I can't do it. I lose 6 inches of boot depth because it's pushed everything forward. So I have to actually take that bar out, thus losing the dog guard.
I feel like there's a whole separate video that you folks can make just on how to make best use of your storage space in the back of your estate. But before we do that, because we do need to wrap up, finish listing the cars. The Infiniti Q60.
Yep.
I haven't driven one, so if anyone happens to have the one or two that exist in the UK, please let me know. I would love to try one. If you happen to be watching or know someone who's watching, I might actually contact the dealer that's got the one that I've seen out there and just say, hey, look, I'm thinking about this car, but I also have a YouTube channel, would like to do a review. What do you think? See what he says. You never know. The RCF, I really need to try one of those. And I know someone who knows someone who knows someone who could probably help me try one of those. What else? What have I left off?
Mini, was it Mini?
The Mini.
Yeah.
No, I must say next to the Renault 5, actually, I think that seems less appealing.
Yeah.
I'm still open to the F56.
Okay.
Still open to it. And I think we've run out of ideas.
I'm sure that there are people who could comment below their £20,000 to £25,000. What is it? Sensible.
Like I said, under 25,000 or less.
Yeah.
So it doesn't have to be necessarily in a particular bracket.
But it has to be you, Les.
It has to be you, Les.
I put it down in the comments.
I was even considering a VW Supercar R. They were in the low teens in terms of price. Kind of decided against it, although if someone has one and thinks I should try it, do let us know. But it's not about 20 to 25. It's about less than 25. But it's got to be a car that is reliable or can be made reliable well within the budget. And that's where the price limitations are.
So I think, as we said, people in the comments section need to give us some ideas, because while we're maybe slightly closer to a decision, I still think we're a long way off. So I hope you've basically enjoyed us talking in circles today, and then all my ideas that are being ridiculous getting shot down, and that's the reason I put some of them in, because I knew they wouldn't. It'd be hilarious. Still think you should buy the Nissan Cube.
But you did throw in some curveballs that did result in us getting to the Renault 5, which I'll be honest, I had not considered as an option in this particular conversation. So I think that's good. So thank you for joining us. Make sure if you've got any suggestions or feedback, leave them in the comments. If you're a bit shy, you can send it to landlord@theradiatorarms.com. And of course, hit the like and subscribe button. Check out Will the Plank over on his channel. Check out Mile by Mile Valeting over on Instagram. Please also check out Sports and Touring. And a special thank you to the JayEmm and Friends audience who then came and gave their support to help tip us over the 11,000 subscribers on Sports and Touring. And thank you to all of you who have subscribed to the JayEmm and Friends channel, because we're now on our way to 21,000 subscribers. And if you haven't subscribed yet, make sure you do that now. But I think that's us for today. We'll see you and speak to you next time.
Goodbye.
Bye.